Munambe yuwale no sababu keta momoti mbebulale no male eyo jalimbe yuwale no sababu keta momoti mbebulale no male munambe bulalaru no piatok nyunata yuruwale fe modye. Hello, welcome back to another session of Peer Talk. My name is Alaji, and today we have another amazing session with an amazing individual as usual. Today our guest is ex-military of the United States of America, you know, a technologist. I don't know how do I say it. Are you can I say that? Is that way?
Yeah, I guess that's right.
That's right, right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. And my guest today is Saikou Manneh.
Yes.
Sergeant Saikou Manneh. Let me put that respect on your name.
Retired.
Retired? Oh, man.
Yeah.
How you been, bro?
I'm good, man. How about you?
Man, welcome back.
Thank you.
It's been a minute, man. It's been a minute. You know, you've been going back and forth in Gambia. What's going on? So tell us about Gambia. Tell us what's new about Gambia and what's
Gambia. I guess you know, a lot of road construction. I think that's the first thing I kind of noticed. You know, so a lot of roads that they were constructing 2-3 years ago are coming in together. You know, so a lot of road construction and electricity. You know, for some reason, it seems to
no,
be,
it's amazing though. Like I don't know about it.
Stable. So I don't want to, you know, preempt anything, but I think like that looks good. Those are the few things that honestly I kind of noticed. Those are, you know, big improvements.
Wow, that's great, man. Yeah. Electricity is big.
Well, that's yes.
But for me, like what I've been seeing is the road. Though you talked about the road. Like I've been watching YouTube videos and I've seen amazing things. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Gambia is,
you know, is a small country, and I think this is what everybody has been saying for a long time. You know, I'm not sure what has changed, but it looks like they're figuring things out, you know, because Gambia is not big.
It's not big.
Within the combo, what is the longest road in combo? I don't think it's more than 50 miles. You know, from Birikama to Banjul, is that more than 50 miles? I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, but you know, things should not be this bad, you know. So I'm happy. There's a lot of road constructions, and hopefully once those are finished, you know, those would definitely make changes.
Wow, it's amazing. It's beautiful though. The roads are super beautiful.
Yes.
And you know, this is what we want, you know.
Absolutely.
It excites me when I'm watching those YouTube videos. I see all these buildings, beautiful, nice buildings. I know individuals are doing a lot of great things in Ghana.
I think
you have to give, you know, props to the
exactly.
for real,
especially the diaspora.
Yeah, the diaspora.
People are doing good.
Yeah, man.
You know, the kind of houses I see there is impressive, you know.
Yeah, and it's giving a lot of, and it's giving that look to the roads, the roads and the buildings.
Exactly.
Like, come on, man.
The new OIC road, once you drive on that, it's pretty good.
Wow.
You know, it's honestly, to see that in Gambia is a game changer.
So how about the traffic now? How is the traffic?
Traffic, because of the road, is better, but the roundabout is the issue. Roundabout, I feel like, you know, people actually know it. Most people think the drivers actually don't know how the roundabout works, but they do. You know, but the only issue is, you know, people are not respecting those rules. Now, for example, you give traffic to the left, right? You know, so someone is coming from the right, they just want to go straight. So those are the little things. Everybody want to just come, and then when you come, you just want to go directly. I feel like that it causes a lot of traffic jam at Turntable and Javan Junction. Wow. Those places around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock sometimes. You know, you could be at a roundabout for like 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes, just a roundabout, because people will not yield, you know, so that is the only issue. But once you pass the roundabout, then boom, you go to the other roundabout, the same thing. But these are the two, I think, Senegambia, Turntable, and Jabon Junction. These are where I notice a lot of traffic jam. You know, that's for the most part, that's why you have a lot of traffic jam.
Don't they have like stop signs at the Roundabouts?
Roundabout,
Because
they
like
have
here,
they have a yield sign.
just the yield sign?
Yeah, like if you come into a roundabout, you watch the traffic on your left.
Yeah.
If there's no car coming, you go, right? That's how it's supposed to be. So the traffic that is on your right, they need to watch out for you. But again, that is the issue. Somebody is you're coming from your left, you're not supposed to stop. You should be going right. Somebody's coming from right, but they're going to go, they're going to cut you off. So if you're not careful, that could cause accidents, but what it causes is that it causes a lot of traffic jam, pretty much because, if you don't yield to the right, this guy come, traffic start to back up. No one can, the roundabout becomes impossible. So cars, everybody's blocking each other. Sometimes you sit there for a minute and police will come and figure out how to, but one thing I see, which is an improvement to lately, would be the police will start to actually, as for me, I feel like it's not efficient, because a roundabout itself is a police, so you should be able to direct traffic. You should be able to know what to do, right? But if police are there to tell you, stop for 1 minute, stop. So I feel like I
mean, that's a lot of work. That's why I asked if they have stop signs. If that's a stop sign,
there's a yield sign, but there's no. Well, to be honest, the road has all the road furnitures. It has a lot of signs and other things.
Yeah, but what I mean is like at that roundabout, like if you have a stop sign there, everybody knows. You don't have to. Nobody needs to regulate anybody. If you get there, you will know that okay, I'm the first to go, or the next person.
Those are there, but like I say,
they don't follow it. People don't
respecting it. Some people are doing it, but I would say majority of people are not doing it, and the amount of drivers that are not respecting that is more than the drivers that are. And at some point, traffic rules felt like they don't exist. So that I feel like that is a big problem. So
that's crazy. I think we need
so
to
far for traffic, that's where I kind of notice, in terms of traffic being heavy, it's just that they roundabout, because Gambia still doesn't have much cars as far as I'm concerned. I personally doesn't believe there is 30,000 cars currently. Well, people have more than 30,000 cars, but I don't think there's 30,000 cars driving on roads at the same time. I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that.
You think so? From Brikama to Westfield, from Westfield to Banjo.
I mean, if we can kind of
stink corner,
probably. But most for Westfield, from Kairaba Avenue all the way to Westfield to go to Stink Corner, that's where you see a lot of traffic, and then you go to Tabokoto, there's a lot of traffic there.
Right.
That's it. And then maybe Tabokoto, now you go towards Birikama, depending on the time, you see a lot of traffic, and then Turntable. Then you have to go into Banjul. So I don't think so, honestly. I don't want to believe so. Still it's a small country. Gambia is like, it's still tiny.
It's not up to 3 million yet. It used to be.
I don't think so. I think it's 2 point something still. Yeah. I want to be, last census 2 point something. I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure it's less than 3 for sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Still,
it's a working process.
Small country.
Progress.
If you're watching from anywhere, it's a probably smallest country in mainland Africa. But hey, smiling coast of
Africa, man. Come on, it's the best place to meet for me, no matter what happens. Like,
hey, same here.
Yeah, man.
So,
shit.
Yeah.
Welcome back, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it,
welcome back. So what you been up to? What's going on?
Like work, life, kids, family. A lot of things, man. Trying to figure everything out on the fly. But work, most importantly, then venture into different things, invest, as a youth man, so that's the only thing you can do. And I'm saying just work,
Okay, that's good. So like when I was introducing you, I said you are a technologist, that's correct. But you've been into tech, you have been, since our last episodes that we've been doing, you've been talking about a lot of tech stuff, and you have investments in Gambia, and you have another investment in Gambia. I'm sure you're ready to talk about that today.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So we all about that. We all about development. We all about improvement. Inspiring other people. Self-development and community development, basically. So now, as a technician, as a technologist, what sparked that interest when it comes, because we talked about it before, but as we said, like we are evolving, and a lot of people are joining our family now. When I say a family, like and our subscribers on YouTube family.
Right.
So,
Right.
I want you to start from the beginning. What sparked that interest to start a journey in technology?
Tech for me, it goes way back in Gambia because when I graduate high school, I went to GTTI to study. Then I don't know how they call it now, but they used to call it computer engineering. That's where I started. But before I even go to GTTI, I was working at a photocopy shop where they have a computer. My brother has a photocopy shop, and then we had a computer there. This is like 2004, 2005, 6, because I like to go there, play around with the computers, and I would always volunteer to go to go there. So when I go there, I get the chance to play with computers. So this is how I develop. I would make this designer for people who used to do Photoshop. So many if people have a program, Pisces and Firemans and others. I used to be in the background, make tickets for people. Like if you have a program, I can make tickets for you. So that's how I started. So that manipulating different things in computer, typing things, so this is where I started. So I found that naturally I have a lot of interest in computers. After I graduated high school, I went to GTTI to further, and then eventually travel to the United States, and then the same route I continue.
Well, that's unheard of though, because
Yeah.
back in the day, at high school level, not
Yeah.
many people
No, that's
are
true. That's true.
fortunate enough,
No,
to
no,
start.
because in my high school, my computer classes, a lot of people I could remember, there's a software called Mavis Beacon. Some people might remember that. So it's a typing software, right? So when we were doing that in high school, in Gambia High School, some people that was the first time to touch a computer. By then I was dealing with computers for almost 2 or 3 years. Because after grade 9, maybe to go back a little further, after grade 9, I waiting for my results. I went to a typing classes just to do computer typing. I think that was like 7 weeks of classes. So for me, naturally, I mean, technology was something. It's something that comes to me naturally, and I can relate to it. So I think that was one of the reason I venture into technology. But it's since way back in the Gambia. I have a solid foundation before I come to the US.
You're lucky, man.
Yeah.
I remember back in my high school, we used to have a whole computer lab. But I remember, I don't think, it was more than one time that I've been to that.
I know. Yeah.
It was part of our syllabus. We're supposed to be having it, I think, once a week. But, it's not, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
not.
a lot of people would skip the class.
It's not even that, because like they don't even enforce it. That's the thing.
Right.
They don't enforce, because like I remember that's just one time I went to that computer lab, and we're supposed to have it every
Was
week.
that Gambia School?
Yeah, it was St. Augustine High School.
Oh, Sense.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with the lab. I don't know if they were having technical issues or something like that, but it wasn't something that was enforced.
But again,
when I
back
was
then,
there.
computers were very valuable.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was going to the typing classes, they wouldn't allow us to open any other program other than the typing program they open. Even you open another program, the the tutor would come, "Hey, no, you can't do that." I'm like, "Whoa," because it feels like you're going to break something,
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, back then computers were very valuable, so it's not like they're very common like they are right now everywhere. Even small kids has their own computers. But back then, too, a lot of people were not interested in it because maybe accessibility.
Yeah, accessibility definitely does.
To be honest, I was lucky to my early around that time. In fact, somebody gave me a laptop and then a flash drive. My dad bought me some other materials. It was interesting. I had my own laptop and I had a flash drive. I think I could remember
in high school.
In high school, yeah.
Wow.
It's a 256 megabytes flash drive. It's a tiny flash drive, but I used to wait around my neck and people would ask, "What is this?" Tell them it's a flash drive. You can actually put data in it. And he was like, "What are you talking about?"
Wow.
So it's...
So how is it? Do you know, you probably, because you've been there so many times, you're probably familiar with the system out there now.
Right.
So are kids into computer now in high school? Like, at high school level?
I think this day and age, almost everyone would have some kind of access to technology because it's not an option.
Yeah, but what I mean is at
Yeah,
school
like
level, are they teaching them from high school?
I think I will not. I'm not 100%. I think they would, but I'm not sure the level that require some advanced. You know what I'm saying. So, like, I don't think it's a actual curriculum that they follow. It might be an optional class, like you said. I want to believe that is how it is. But somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't think is something that is well focused on to say, hey, we want to develop, kids that can software developers from high school, unless you go to, a tertiary institution. But high school, I doubt that. I don't think so.
I mean,
Yeah, it's still optional.
I think that should be a thing now.
No, yeah.
Because
I think that is something that probably should be looked into
absolutely,
because technology is very lucrative field. In the sense that we're in a global world now.
yes,
They say education is the greatest equalizer, but I'm going to modify that a little bit. Internet is the greatest equalizer, because now with internet, anywhere you sit in the world, you can actually work. It's possible to work, and I think that is the new revolution that is taking over. People from India, all parts of the world, people are actually applying for jobs directly in the United States. Before we had to travel here to come here and look for jobs, but folks could be, if you're technically inclined, you could be in Gambia and get a job in the US with a US company or a Chinese company or any other part of the world. That is actually a possibility now. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So, but I think, people, especially parents, because I know Gambia, everything is about government, but, the interest of the
starts from
kids
home.
that start
Yeah,
with you, right?
yeah.
Yeah, we should definitely introduce kids to technology and advance technical path, at a very early age.
It's crazy because kids out here, like from elementary school, they start coding.
Coding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it should be super duper accurate.
But I mean, now is, like I said, I think it depends on, the person himself, or the parent himself, because like I say, right now you don't, I know the four corners of the classroom sounds very fascinating, but there is so much potential out there on the internet. Khan Academy, you can have free coding classes, YouTube, so many things. If you want to expose kids to that at early age, I think it's very, very possible. And again, when we say computers, a lot of people always think about coding. There is so much.
There's so much to do.
There is so much areas in computer that you can't even imagine. Anything you see around us moving, it's computers.
Yeah,
like networks again in the 5G, network engineers, they become very valuable. So the more our demand for technology grows, the more, the demand for people that maintain that technology is going to grow.
Wow.
And
so what about like in Gambian aspect, what are some of the technological advancements that you have seen around there, in this time?
I think, like I say, when you say technology, mostly we relate it to internet and networks, but I feel like those are the backbone of technology. Gambia, I think still internet is probably good. Internet is pretty good there now because I know we have the ACE cable, Africa Coast to Europe cable that is there. I'm not sure. I think they have a redundant cable too, but I think the biggest issue for Gambia is going to be the infrastructure, right? So when I say the infrastructure, I mean in the internet infrastructure. Right now we have the backbone is there, but the infrastructure is not. It's not fully. They call it last mile delivery. It's not all over the country. For example, if you want a fiber internet, if you're sitting somewhere in Fajara, maybe you might be lucky, or somewhere in Busubi, you might be lucky. But if you're somewhere in Jabang or certain parts of Sukuta, Bakau, you might not be able to have it because the way the fiber was laid is not, it's not laid into neighborhoods and cities and stuff like that. So compared it to Senegal anywhere in Dakar, you can get a fiber internet, high speed fiber internet. I think the backbone that internet infrastructure has to be worked on first. Once that is fully worked on, an average person could be sitting at home, have access to internet, right? like the telephone lines are before, right? You have access to the internet. Then some other person can come, a person like me can come and build my technology platform on that because internet has to be there, right? Once the internet connection is there, or internet infrastructure is there, YouTubers and others, coders, we can come and exploit the digital economy, But right now, internet, like I say, internet as we speak is actually, it's pretty good there, but it's not fully comprehensive when it comes to the entire country.
So who are the people who's supposed to fix that for us? Is it the government level or
I think right now, well, I would think, I mean, again, everything is the government, right?
yep.
They're the actual watchdogs, right? They should lead the way. But I was very excited that Starlink was going to be available in the Gambia.
Starlink?
Starlink,
Oh,
yeah, I
okay.
was so excited about that because that could unlock a lot of opportunities. Like I say, once you have a stable internet, there's so much potential that is possible. You can go to Gambia, start a business to assist a company in America, to do something, right? So and I know, like, again, maybe the afro cells and the comiums and the q cells might be the reason that, but I think 2 years ago I had a lot of movements about that Starlink was coming to Gambia. In fact, you can even go right now and reserve Starlink to say, hey, I want to reserve my spot for Starlink in Gambia, but till date I see no no movement. Sierra Leone has it, I think Ghana has it too. Nigeria, it's pretty good. Because again, if the local players are not, they don't have the funding to make internet available for everybody. And when we say internet, a lot of people always think it's 5G or 4G. Those are for cellular devices, right? But what we mean is like you have internet, fiber internet at your home, and then you have a modem there and an access point that everybody can connect. For example, that is cheaper than 5G, 5G and 4G. Even here, 4G and 5G expensive. Once you go over your data cap, it becomes more expensive, right? Because every bit is charged. So that makes it very, very difficult. So when we say internet, we mean internet to homes directly, fiber to home, so that's what we mean. But I think the government need to take the leadership, in this, and then making sure that um everywhere in the combos and in the rural areas, we have fiber internet available. That is one step. Somebody could be sitting in Gambia taking the classes in, online classes in the UK or somewhere else. This is the potential you have to think about, right? Internet unlocks a lot of potentials. Internet, electricity, those are good. Gambia, we speak English, and I think that can unlock a lot of potential. We can definitely have call centers in Gambia, call centers, data centers, so many things is possible. It's a tiny country, so we need to attract those kind of investments. We definitely need proper internet and proper electricity. Yeah.
So, but then when it comes to the government, does it have to be like the gateway? The gateway up
I
there?
think Gambia, the gateway now is kind of funny how what is going on there. So I think what happened, the gateway is liberalized. Right now, Gamtel doesn't own the gateway, or the government doesn't own the gateway alone.
Really?
The gateway is a consortium that is called ACE, Africa Coast to Europe. So I think what happened, and this, people can correct me if this is not accurate, but Gamtel back then, what happened? They took a loan to in order to distribute fiber in the Gambia with Huawei. So I think that was around $75 million loan. So from World Bank or from an African Development Bank, one of the other, and this is, I'm just trying to, repeat this from narrate this from memory. So when they took that loan, the condition of that loan is they need to liberalize the gateway. In order for you to get a $75 million loan, you need to liberalize this gateway, for Africell, Chromium, and others. So what happened? All of these, they don't go through Gamtel. It's a very um interesting setup. You have to fully understand networking in order to know how that works. But the simple explanation is, let's say they have a 10 gigabit connection for ACE. All of these companies would have their routers and their firewalls, and they, at the end of the day, they go independently. But that independently, all the connection will end up at the ACE cable, but AfriCell doesn't have to go through GAMTEL. GAMTEL doesn't have to through the gateway is liberalized. You know, the only issue is if the ACE cable has a problem in the sea, they still all of them would have a problem, but none of them are going through one another. Just to make it
So,
simple.
for instance, if I want to start like an internet company in Gambia, so who do I go to? How is my process going to work?
Number one, you have to get a licensing. That means you have to go to PIRA. PIRA would have
Oh,
to
yeah.
license you, depending on what is their requirements. You have to meet certain requirements, and I think there's licensing fees. You know, they probably want to see your business plan. So those are some of the formalities you have to go through. PIRA is a regulator. They have to make sure, you know, what you're bringing is not going to, for example, it's not going to interfere, you know, with other existing people that are AfriCell. Because but one thing people don't understand is, for example, a lot of ISPs in the Gambia, you know, those are the smaller ones that are broadcasting internet. They're using frequencies, right? So when you come into frequencies are just like roads. You know, if you're in your lane and then you decided to leave your lane, if another car is coming, so that is something that Peter has to regulate. They have to make sure, you know, what your operations are not going to impact other people. You know, so basically you have to go to PIRA. That is
So PIRA is part of, it's a government entity?
PIRA is a public utility and regulatory authority. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a government. That's what regulate AfriCells and the GAMZELs and NAWEG and anyone who need to do something like that, technology and others. I think most of them has to go through PIRA. I think they're under the Ministry of Information, I want to believe. Yeah, something like that. I'm still trying to catch up on my Gambian government.
Yeah, thing. Yeah.
You know, it's been a while.
Oh, you good. You did good. You did good on that. Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, but again, that's where you would start, you know, but I feel like the government definitely need to, you know, they need to lead, people can follow, you know, because if you have a serious leadership, that speaks volume, right?
Right.
You know, so I think, you know, in terms of technology, it has to be taken very seriously. And I've not been to Uganda, but I've heard a lot of things about them, you know, in terms of technology, not what they do. Sorry, Rwanda, you know, what they do there with technology, how they introduce technology to, you know, very early age in school and stuff like that. So,
I mean, I think, you know, technology right now is one of the biggest things because you said it here, like even young people now, like you see them, you know, you go to YouTube all over the world, people are leveraging, you know, the YouTube and other social media platforms, you know, to spread their content. I mean, you could provide a lot of employment through that.
Absolutely,
you know?
content. Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
yes.
No,
yes.
and I think that is something that is not. I don't know how Gambia content. I don't know. I know there's a lot of content creators. I'm not even sure how they make money.
Yeah.
You know. So, but if the government can look into that area, we have a lot of talent there. We can showcase our culture.
Yeah.
You know, in order to do that, we need, you know, cheap and affordable. I mean, like I say, don't get me wrong. You know, if you go to Gambia today, you can have internet as much as, you know, 100 meg, even 1 gig a bit connection, but it's very expensive. You know, it's pretty expensive to be able to have such kind of connection there. So that affordability has to be looked into, you know, in order to create a more bigger economic opportunity, you know, because I mean, the world has changed. It's the gig economy. You know, somebody could, a young man could be sitting in Africa, in Gambia, you know, you're pretty good with, you know, SQL and database and all that. You can assist a company here in America.
Oh, yeah.
That is the new thing. You know, India and Philippines, they've been doing that for a long time.
Wow.
You know, so we need to definitely, you know, chip into that area. Like, I think it's $1 billion industry. You know, Americans and other fossil countries who go there and then hire people over there. It's possible. You know, before you have to physically hire somebody, but now you can hire people remotely. They don't have to physically be here, and they will be cheaper. But again, in Africa, that will provide a lot of value for you there.
Talking about that, you have that kind of business in Gambia.
Something similar.
Something similar, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
talk to us about it, because for me, I'll be like, that's impossible for someone to do it in Gambia. Because like you said, traditionally we know, oh, in the Philippines or
Right.
how do you call it again? India and everything. Those are the people, those are the countries that are, you know, popular for that.
Right.
So, you know, how did you?
I mean, it's it's something new. That's what we're trying in Gambia. But again, for me, at this stage, we're at the training stage for the most part. You know, I have to train people to be able to do some of the basics and fundamentals that we want to do, you know, especially in IT. And then hopefully we can, you know, train them to the standard that people would want to hire them here directly from Gambia. You know, that is the goal. So, you know, I probably train five, six, seven people and then polish their resumes, and then, you know, market them out here. You know, make sure they have at least standard English, you know, they can express themselves, they can market themselves, you know, they can communicate over the phones, you know. So basically these are the things that we're looking at. So just train them to a global work standard, you know, for Europe and America and other parts, you know, and then, you know, come here, find a job, work with companies, find a job here, and they will be sitting there and, you know, in the Gambia, and then do that, and you supervise. You know, it's something that is new, you know, again, like a typical Gambian, you know, normally we don't take advantage of our potentials. You know, Gambia is one of the countries that I believe can benefit a lot from that. You know, it's a small country. All you need to do, good internet, you know, proper power structure, and then you train people, and you can go all over the world and find jobs, and you know, the youth could actually be working. We can have call centers in Gambia that can hire probably 200 people, 300 people. And I don't think those are very difficult things, you know, but sometimes, like, when you want to start some things in Gambia, the first thing people tell you, we will not work, even though they have never tried it. They even, for the fact that you say you're going to do it in Gambia. And I think that is, I don't know, it's pretty interesting. But yeah, you know, so that is the space that we're trying to get in, you know, pretty difficult, but still, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, I like working, I like challenges. Hey, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So I
Yeah.
was going to ask there, like, your challenges, because in a country where we talked about it, where technology is not, in general, is not that, you know, you know, like we said, if we don't have from the grassroots, we don't have that opportunity growing up to be, into that. So how we're able to get your employees or your trainees, for you to be able to do your job, like as you
I
said.
mean, you know, like anywhere you go, you know, there's gonna be all kind of people there, right? You know, I feel like Gambia also, there are young people that are interested in technology. Really, I know some folks from GTTI and other institutions, you know, so sometimes you reach out to them, hey, you know, any students who probably would be a good fit for this and this, and they say, yeah, you know, and they will send me resumes and other things, and this is how we kind of scan people, you know. But again, you know, it's something new. When you're doing something new, you have to refine it. There's going to be a lot of challenges, you know, and a lot of turnovers. You have to refine it, you know, and you know, you keep coming at it again and again and again and again, you know. So, but still, we're trying to find a footing, you know, what space is going to be the best, because there's so much opportunities there. You know, anything you think about, a doctor could be in Gambia. You could telework from Gambia. It's possible. I know people don't know it, but it's definitely possible. If you're a specialist in something, you can telework from Gambia to assist somebody somewhere else in the world, you know. But for the fact that nobody has tried it in Gambia, that doesn't mean it's not possible. You know, these are some of the things. An engineer could be sitting in Gambia, you know, and then assist somebody somewhere and this is a space that we need to be better at as a country. You know, we need to exploit this space, because again, these are billions of dollars in industry, you know. So it's a billions of dollar industry, and imagine if Gambia can probably take a small amount of that, even $100 million. That's a lot of, you know, and I think it's possible. You know, I don't know the numbers for Philippines and, you know, India, but I'm sure it will shock most of us to know that this is how much I'm making out of those industry. You know, so the level of English that, you know, we have in Gambia is an English speaking country. You know, English is our first language, official language. All of those are advantages,
Yes,
right? Most of us, when we come to the US, we don't go to school to go and learn English. We are just rolling, right? You would say that we have accent, you know, but we write clear English, we speak, you know, proper grammar, and these are some of the advantages we have, you know. But I feel like now we need to take that back to Gambia and try to hire our brothers and sisters there. I mean, we need to create job. We need to create productivity in Gambia.
Absolutely.
Everybody cannot just be sitting, and waiting for somebody to send money here or waiting for your turn to travel. I don't think that is that is not it. Because right now we're seeing what is happening here. Americas and Europes and things are turning. In fact, these people don't want immigrants to come here anymore. So this is the reality that we're in, as a country. We definitely, and it starts with me. Everybody has to it has to start somewhere. It doesn't always have to be the current government or whatever institution is in charge of that area. Yeah.
Oh. So let's talk about your internet business that you have in Gambia. How is that going?
So right now, that one, personally, I'm not very focused on that. Someone else is running that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have I still have a share and I still have an interest in it, but somebody else is running that. Because like I say, that kind of business is getting a little bit, the space is getting a little bit saturated, in the sense that, like I say, mobile penetration is very high in Gambia now. Like any corner you can go, you can get 4G, even though the data is expensive, but the mobile penetration is pretty high. So before, we were targeting mobile users, basically coming to a neighborhood and then broadcast Wi-Fi within 600 square meters. So that's what we're doing. So we come to a neighborhood, broadcast Wi-Fi, and people buy tokens, and for a whole day. For example, $25 is for a whole day. You can browse. But what we have noticed is that now internet is getting, the Wi-Fi internet penetration, mobile penetration is very high. So people prefer to have mobile data on their phones than to actually connect to access points. Access points too. Another challenge we had when we were doing it heavily was electricity. When somebody bought a token from me and electricity is gone, so sometimes that could become very tricky, especially during the rainy season. Sometimes light could be gone for 6 hours, 7 hours. This is like, again, 2-3 years ago, so those are some of the major challenges, and those are things that are not within my control, so I had to pivot and try to find something else that I can make more impact. But the business is still going. I think we have 2 locations right now, but it's not as before, where we have, like, I think, 10, 11 locations. We had to close down some of those because they're not as profitable, or there were a lot of challenges, so, well, hey, again.
So what do you think can be done to improve it? Because for me, quitting is not my thing.
No, I think what you can.
I like to improve stuff.
Yes,
I like people to,
I think normally what normally happens, you would have to pivot. You would have to, because again, if you look at the Amazons, right?
Yeah.
The way they started and what they do now, maybe might be completely opposite.
That's why I
right?
asked that question.
Exactly. So as an entrepreneur, you look at the space. If you see an opportunity, something else come up, and then because again, this will happen. Even for example, these ISPs in the Gambia, let's say Africell, these mobile GSM providers, Africell, the Comiums, and all of these. If Starlink come to Gambia, their relevance is almost out of the window. Because Starlink right now, they're introducing a global mobile. You could be anywhere in the world, and then this is satellite.
Access, yeah.
Satellite anywhere in the world is there. So I don't need to have Comium, Africell. I don't even need to have T-Mobile here. I can literally join Starlink Mobile. If I'm in the US, it works. I go to Gambia, it works anywhere in the world, right? So if Starlink come to Gambia, it's going to wipe these people off business. Why would I need Africell? Why would I need Gamcell? Why would I need Gamtel? There's internet there. It's always going to be there. Service is going to be good. People are not going to treat me in a certain way. So I think, customer service is going to be there. So why do I need these people? They will not be relevant. They will be making these billions of dollars, but once that hit the Gambia, they're gone. And sometimes we have seen so many these kind of transformations happen over time. It happens to, for example, when Facebook come, it wiped a lot of people. I don't know, MySpace and other things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kids today would not know that, but MySpace used to be a thing. But all of those went out of business. So as an entrepreneur,
High five.
yeah. Now you I've, you
I
know,
bet.
I don't know if those domains are even alive today, but this can happen. For example, something can happen, an entire industry could be wiped out, or it's not relevant anymore. We have seen that. So anyone who is living, you are an entrepreneur, or you are a business owner, or even your career, you have to pay attention to these things. Like, I mean, technology, people are saying AI is coming, everybody's going to lose their jobs. Personally, I have to look at that closely and say, hey, how is this going to impact my job? And then how can I take this as to my advantage, and then propel my career forward. So as an entrepreneur too, these are some of the things that you have to do. I don't, because sometimes if you're not realistic, it becomes a passion that you only dump money into, but you're not getting anything back. So if you're trying to invest, you want to be an entrepreneur. If something does, you try something. If it doesn't work, you pivot and try something else. But doing the same thing, expecting different results, that's the definition of insanity, right?
Absolutely.
So I always have that in the back of my
Got
mind
it
that I
wrong.
need to pivot.
Yeah.
For me, again, that throughout my career, I went through a lot of different things. Maybe military would help me into that. You have short memories. If you do something that doesn't work, try something else. So I think these are some of the things that we're doing. We're trying to pivot, find something else to do. But that business will finally be, consolidated into something else. But I am always looking to, you know, um, do something that is going to hire people. That is the passion I have now.
Yeah.
Because
So I'm going to talk to you about technology right now. When you look at Gambia, like me or anybody else who is sitting here thinking, oh man, I want to do something there, but I don't know what to do. And what potential, like, what have you seen in Gambia? What kind of things Gambia have, like potential Gambia has that, people should tap into?
in terms of technology,
Yeah, technology. Yeah.
I mean, for me, Gambia is one of those countries. It's a virgin economy. Even something is there, but it's not exhausted. I that's what I tell people. And I would give you a simple. I had an issue with my car. Actually, my cousin came to Gambia and accidentally took the keys to one of my cars back to the UK. So I don't have a spare key. And then there's a road construction. We need to move the car. I was looking for how do you call it? A towing company. As simple as going online, trying to find who has a towing company, who is selling Benachin in the neighborhood. Who has what? Nobody knows. You go to Gambia, you want, for example, you going to Gambia you've not been in Gambia for a long time. Once you get there today, you want something, how do you get it? So still resources could be there, but we're not aware of it. As simple as, centralizing those things together, I feel like there's a gap there. Somebody who can come and say, hey, anything you want, here is where you can find it. And I know Google can do that, but people are not actually putting their business. Well, few people are, but people are not putting their business. They put their businesses on Google, but even the phone number will not be active. Right? Maybe you put it there today, 3 years down the road, your menus. And so I think like still there's so many things, as simple as, for example, I want to go to Banjul, look for an ID card. Why do I need to drive all the way there to find out that, well, they're not issuing ID cards? Right? So I think like for me, for Gambia, like there's so many things. We're just getting started. We are getting started. I heard somebody was saying, if you go to Senegal, Dakar, there is a taxi service called Yango. You just download an app and you want a taxi anywhere, they'll come and get you. That right now, I think I heard it's coming to Gambia, but it's not. So I think from here, these are some of the things you can look into. Towing service.
Create a platform for
exactly. For example, if I'm in the Gambia, I need a sand, I need let's say cement, or just be resourceful to people. I feel like that is all of those there's so many things that are lacking there. I can think of one specific thing in mind, but I think like,
no, that's a good example.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
Whatever is working here, this is not in Gambia. Hey, you can go get it. Take it there.
Absolutely.
You don't even have to say, oh, I'm going to go invent something. No, I think that is right now, that would be a waste of time, in fact. There's a lot of things that you can literally lift up and then take them there and then, try to do it in the Gambian context. And I think this is where, also as a people, this is why we fail, maybe especially the educated community. You see somebody is well educated, but cannot do something in the Gambian context. And that's important. Environments are different. If you take something there, you have to kind of curve it to what is going to be, you know, um, what is going to be realistic in Gambia. For example, you take a business from here and take it to Gambia. Let's say you sow some kind of a chicken, way they cook a chicken, and you want to go sell that in Gambia. If people are buying that here for $10, and you go to Gambia, you want to expect the same amount of money, that might not be realistic. You have to be able to know the local market, what the local market is going to need. An average Gambian should be able to afford whatever you are selling. And I think some of the businesses I see in Gambia, these are some of the issues. They're not realistic about what they're doing. Whatever you're doing, your customer base should be able to afford that. If they can, then now you definitely have to go look back at your model. People that have, clothes and furnitures and things that Gambians cannot afford. Somebody from abroad would have to come and buy that. So they end up sitting there for a long time.
But like the naysayers saying, like you said it before, people be like, yeah, it's not going to work in Gambia. This is not going to work in there. So do you think, you at least you are doing some of the things. Do you think, there's potential that whatever you do in Gambia can work?
I think it depends on the person himself. And I think, like I say, in life, a lot of things are here.
Yeah.
We suffer more in our brains than physically on our bodies, right? So if people are telling you, but again, another thing, maybe let's step back a little bit. A lot of us would not realistically research about things that we do. I heard Alaji's doing, like, I think you have heard about that. How do you call it? Bandwagon before. Alaji is doing a poultry farm. I don't know how many friends. I know 6 or 7 friends who do a poultry farm in Gambia. This is like 2-3 years ago. Everybody want to do poultry. Animal husbandry. But like, you don't even know how those things work. At least try to have some knowledge there, right? If somebody else is doing it, you can go and do research. Ask him, hey, this is what I want to do. And I'm sure a lot of people will be very honest to you. Or if you can't find it in Gambia, you can go to Senegal. Try to go find knowledge about it, right? But don't just jump into something because Alaji has done it. You're not sure if Alaji is even making money out of it, because he's doing it. And then people are saying he's getting money out of it, and then you're doing it. And one thing also, I also see, when people are doing business, is the mix of their money. I could be doing business, but I'm working. I'm still paying my staff, and everything looks good, but it's not that all the money I get is from the business. So people have to understand all of these things. But anywhere you go, you cannot stop what people are going to say about something, right? People always have opinions. It's just a matter of you. It depends on how do you react to those things, right? Do you believe in yourself? If the answer is yes, hey, you try it. But if you don't believe in yourself, no. When people tell you something, you're going to just quit. But someone like me, I'm a soldier, man. Defeat is not an answer. We will never quit. Until the mission is complete. So, but I think life is, you're going to have setbacks. If you means, some people take setbacks as defeat. That's nothing. If something happened, hey, you pivot.
Yeah.
If you can go through something, go around it. So this is the mindset I have. But we're seeing young people like Bucks Paint.
Shout out to Bucks.
I know, man. Doing pretty well in Gambia. If you need paint in the Gambia, go to Bucks Paint. It's the best paint in the Gambia. Those are really, really good success stories.
Absolutely.
And I think, as a country, as a people, we need to, most of the times, and this is me being critical of Gambians, as a Gambian myself, the only time we embrace hustle culture is when we get out.
Yeah.
We realize, oh, mom is not here, dad is not, everybody is not here, I need to work hard. But we need to learn to go back and then hustle in our own country. Doing that, we create productivity.
Yeah, absolutely.
you create productivity, the economy grows. This is how the world works, but it's not like somebody is not going to come. I mean, other people are going there,
Yeah.
and it's a global world. I fully embrace that. If Gambians don't take advantage of some of these things, other people are going to come and see opportunities and then take them. It's a global world. Yes, I am sitting in America. You're sitting here. We came here to take advantage of some of the opportunities that are here. So if we don't take opportunities, advantage of those, somebody else is going to, and I 150% support that. It's a global war.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, but I think we need to take initiative to at least start something in Gambia in terms of business, and you go from there. It might not be for everybody, but anything that you're going to do, make sure you research it. Are you going to fail? Probably 99 times.
Yeah, it's definitely not for, it's definitely not for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
So when we are talking here, we're talking about people who are ready to do this, who want to do this, but at the same time, skeptical.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think the basic advice I can say would be realistic. Be very realistic and start small. You're not competing with anybody. Yeah, and I think sometimes that's the mistake we do. You have never done business before, and then you come and probably take a loan or do something or invest $5 million into a loan, into a business. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't care what anybody says. Your chances of failing is very, very high. I will not do that. If I want to do a rental business in Gambia, I will build a one rental unit. One. But I will not build like 20 apartments because I have never managed an apartment before.
You have to test the market first. Yeah.
But because Alaji is doing it, I want to do it. I think this is one thing that all of us need to start to consider. If you want to do something, it's totally okay, but make sure you do the proper research. Then your chances of succeeding is very high. But without that, is going to be another thing. Even financially, how to manage your finances, how to manage your people payment. How are people going to pay you? Are they going to give the money to the watchman there, or are they going to give money? Is the money going to exchange hand into somebody's hand? All of those will determine how successful a business is going to be in the Gambia.
I remember I did like a certificate in business back in Gambia after high school.
Oh, nice.
So, like you said, like they teach you all the basics, like about business, starting a business. You have to know the finances first.
Oh, yeah.
Business financial. They call it business finance, and then business administration, business structure, and I forgot the other subjects, but you have to, and you do all of those individually.
Okay.
Individual subjects.
Okay.
Yeah, and then at the end of the program, then you have your certificate. Some people go up to a diploma and everything.
Oh, nice.
And it's important. You have to know what you're doing.
No, that's important. And this day and age, we don't need to go pay someone. There's so many people that can.
Yeah, you can go to YouTube.
Exactly. There's communities. If you want to do, even here, there's communities for investment. If you want to invest, hey, there's an entire community. People will show you. They'll be open to you. And I am very, very. Internet is amazing. You just need to know where to find where the important things are and filter all the noise. But it's impressive what you can find out there.
Absolutely.
There's so much good things on YouTube, even Reddit, if you know how to find it. You can find the right community that is good for you, and then you follow it. If you want to invest into chickens and other things, hey, go to YouTube, find a mentor on YouTube, and this guy will show you the entire step. And I think these are the process that I actually believe in. You have to be realistic about it, and then also patience. Patience is another.
You have to have that patience.
Things don't happen overnight. Even though they might look like.
It doesn't happen overnight for real though. You have to go through a lot of struggles, to be able to before you establish. Do not film be everything. If you want to do it, like you don't struggle. You don't struggle for anything. It might be lucky. Some people are lucky, but
it might not be sustainable.
Exactly.
But again, sustainability is very important. And I don't think as a culture, Gambian culture, we put a lot of thought into that. Because, for example, I went to Senegal and I see some buildings that tell me this is 100 years plus. I'm like, which building is 100 years in Gambia? They might be there.
No, they're there, but the thing is, we don't maintain.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Right?
You can see a building, an old building, be like, yo, this is old, but your mind is not going to be like, oh, this, because it's not maintained.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You're just going to look at it as like an old building.
Right.
But if it is not maintained, then it has no use.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and the other side of it is wealth. How many generations have transfer
Yes,
wealth,
yes, yes.
until it's up to you, generational wealth. I'm not
Yeah.
saying it's not there, but it's not,
It's not
maybe the
much.
sample size is
Yeah.
too small.
Hmm.
But again, sustainability is, we have to make sure when anything that you're doing, it has to be sustainable,
Yeah.
and anything somebody's doing, and I look at it, I'm like, okay, where is the sustainability? If I can see that, I mean, I lose interest in it automatically. If I cannot sustain something, I'm
Yeah.
not going to be able, for example, they say, hey, we're going for a marathon. You have never trained for the past 20 years, and they say it's a marathon. We're doing a 50-mile marathon.
Mm.
You just took off 100
Absolutely.
miles an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, what, even you who is not a marathon runner, you're gonna know that, dude, you're not going to make it. I literally saw you going 100 miles an hour when we need to go to 50 miles. You can't.
No.
It's impossible. So some things, and these are some of the things that are so obvious in some businesses. Whatever you're doing, it has to be sustainable. If it's not sustainable, it's a recipe for disaster. So yeah.
So, what would you advise someone who is trying to start a journey in or a career in technology right now?
Technology right now, I think probably this is the best time for technology, because since COVID hit, all the remote works and everything, I think that put a lot of spotlight on technology. I know before people are, or everyone is interested in development, code, these coders, programmers, and others, software development. But I feel like once COVID hit, that put a different spotlight on technology, the technical fields. People can work from home, people can work from, different countries. I think, if you're interested in technology, you want to be independent, you want to be independent, you want to have a stable career, I think this is the best time. But as a motivation to, if you're somebody who is a self-starter, you like to sit down and figure things out, I think that is something that also is very valuable in the technical field. Yeah, but I think there's so many things that are coming up, and if you're interested, you just need to find out what you want to do. When we say technology, it's broad, man. I'm telling you, I'm a network engineer, but we have database developers, software developers, you have, how do you call it, data scientists, so many things, robotics, you can name it. Some things that it don't even come to mind, so you just need to find out what is your passion, and then you start. A degree will take you very far, but your own personal, you know your own personal strive here and there to find out, what you want to do, and go for that, outside of the classrooms and others. I think that is what is going to, be the key for you to sustain. Because again, you can go to school and get a degree in technology or in whatever field you have, but if you're not, into personal development, you're going to be left behind, pretty quickly, because technology also evolved, right? So one thing you have to know is a continuous learning. If you have a passion for learning, you have a passion to, make sure your knowledge is current, you can do pretty well in the field. But right now, is a very lucrative field. Very, very lucrative field. Companies like Amazon, these big tech companies, they pay good, and they give us stocks and others, which are definitely, in the long run, they can give you a stable life. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Steve, for this episode. I really appreciate it, man.
You're welcome, man.
Yeah, man.
Anytime.
Yeah. When are you going back?
Well,
Because now you like fit fat like
we'll
this.
see, man. I mean, it's life, man.
But I love it. I
My
love it.
belief is life
Yeah.
is not, in life, there's two things.
Yeah.
You can either be the chicken or you can be the egg. If you're the egg, you're gonna sit there for a long time. Somebody need to move you. You know what I'm saying? Because egg, you have to be careful. It doesn't. If you drop, it's going to.
Yeah.
But the chicken will go around running around.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So I want to live like that. I don't want to. You have short memories, and then hey, I'm a youth man. Take risk, but take a risk that is, manageable. Calculated risk, and then you go, man. We don't have to be just sitting here because oh we're here, and then we don't have any options. And I think that is the wrong approach, and that is the wrong mindset. Hey, live life, man.
You gotta live life.
Exactly.
I know.
We need to
Thank
go
you
to
so much.
Africa together, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. We gotta have, Pierre Talk out there.
I should, man. I have
Yeah, for sure.
lot on my list.
Yeah.
Cape Verde. What is the name of the other one?
Oh yeah, we need.
Ivory Coast.
Yeah, that's the thing
These
though. We
are-
don't travel Africa as Africans. We don't travel
Yeah,
Africa.
and you'll be surprised. It's much fun. I think I've
Yeah,
been to
it's so many
Senegal a
places,
couple of times,
yeah.
but I am even going to Senegal. Senegal is a neighboring country. I was shocked. So, anyone from Cape Verde, you can hit Pia Talk.
No.
We want to come there.
Absolutely,
You want to come and see
absolutely.
Cape Verde. I want to go
Absolutely.
to what is the name of the other country? Ivory Coast. I want to
Africa,
see this.
yeah, the
Ghana,
western part of Africa
Nigeria.
first, and then we go to
Exactly.
East Africa. East Africa is my favorite.
Yeah, that's yes.
I love it,
Tanzania
Africa.
and
Yeah.
so
Kenya.
we should, man. Go experience our own continent, man.
Absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
think 2025 is the year of repatriation. We need to go back.
You need to, right? Sandra, you ready? You guys ready? We about to go, man.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for this episode, Saikou, and then thanks for watching, and please subscribe to the channel so we can bring conversations like this. Saikou is a young man and he's doing a lot of things in Gambia. If you are in any other African country, you want to do anything there, especially when it comes to technology, whatever he's saying here, you can do the same thing there. So subscribe to this channel and share this, and let's keep the conversation going.